Yes, this is V again. Greetings. I said yes. Sorry for being cringe. Weird. Yeah. The topic today is self-improvement and transcendentalism mindset. To talk about the importance of balance, like I've talked about in other videos, recent videos here, and also to go into more, in detail or kind of personal about my own life and my own journey to where I am today. And I just want to make clear very, very early in this video that I'm far from the person I really want to be, and I have a lot to improve and uh, transcend, to put it that way. I'm still struggling with many things in life, like a lot of people. I'm just a human after all. Even if I'm in consciousness, having an experience as a human, I'm still a human in that sense. So I have, normal mundane things to do in my life, like, normal stuff, responsibilities and, obligations. So I'm no, by any means a transcendental being at this moment. So I do not see myself as some kind of demigod or anything, even though I'm into this mindset of self-improvement and, ascending yourself to the highest possible form. It's just a philosophy of improvement at its core, and helping others to become the better version of themselves that is possible. And that doesn't make it that your life is like perfect and you're a perfect being, and that's just being delusional. So I come from a life of struggle and everything from depression to anxiety, and I've had a tough upbringing. I've had to fight everything from the start, the system. I've had, difficulties with jobs, with education, everything. I've had like a lot of traumatic life, to be honest. I've had a big struggle, and even to this day, I have a lot of, struggles. I'm autistic too, so I have high functional autism, but it's still, I have a lot of issues with everything social, and fitting in and making it work. So even if I'm, enlightened in another way, like I know, according to people, I know much about the universe and stuff. I keep hearing that, like, dude, you know so much. Now I don't know anything. I don't think I know much, to be honest. I'm of that mindset that once you know something, you only know how little you know, and it just keeps repeating in a circle. When you my English, when you reach a certain point of awareness, you just realize how little you knew before in your former awareness state. So that's how it continues for me. So I already know I don't know much, and I won't know much when I know much more than I know now. So that keeps you in a way always constantly learning in life. So if you have the mindset that you're already perfected and you know everything you will never ever transcend anything. You will stop at the same position in life and you will not grow anything at all. You need to humble yourself. You need to realize you're not perfect. You need to realize you have a lot to learn and grow. And the same applies to me. So my journey started, with all of these transcendental things, with being different, an outcast, an introverted autist. I tried to find my purpose very uh, early in life, and I was always drawn to knowledge. I was always thinking about stuff that others do not really think about, like the purpose of existing. Why do I exist? Am I living real existence? Am I a dream? I was already on these, like simulation, like theory, or existence is a dream, like projection, stuff. Even as a 7, 8 year old boy, and I've been drawn to everything mystical and esoteric and religious my entire life. My upbringing was, very spiritual and religious in the sense I had, the Bible read to me, and my father and mother were Catholic or religious, Christians. I became rebellious at an early age to that, and became, drawn to the left-hand path instead. And I've been in so many different ideologies through my life, and I've been everything from, the Christian to the left-hand path, to Satanism, Luciferianism, and New Age, and I've been basically in every possible, ideology and corner of transcendentalism and becoming something greater, or finding a greater purpose in life, to put it that way. And of these journeys have led me to becoming who I am today and being more balanced. But it's been, a very long and tedious road of rebuilding myself, dissolving and restructuring the former self into something new, having my entire worldview being destroyed over and over and again in a circle. It's the same process. It keeps repeating for me. So the road to self-improvement to me is, it revolves literally by the principles of becoming balanced. And in order to become balanced, you need to really understand the purpose of duality, understand the aspects of the male and female principle, of the spiritual aspects of masculinity and femininity in that spiritual sense and philosophical sense, and both the sides, the pros and cons, and understand how they overlap and how they need each other to create a balance, a duality. In that sense, create the duality, and that both sides are equally important for your transcendental journey of self-improvement. Both sides are equally important to harness, regardless of your biological gender. You need both sides equally integrated into yourself. Otherwise, you will be an unbalanced being, and you will not see reality at its fullest, or yourself, your own growth at its fullest. In that sense, you will not be able, because when you're imbalanced, you see the world through just one perspective, and you will only experience the world through that lens, and it will never expand into to see the entire picture, the bigger picture, to put it that way. And therefore, it's very important to integrate both sides into your vessel. The anima, the animus, regardless of your biological gender, you need both sides, and to know how it's connected, to understand the purpose of it, and how it needs to correlate with each other and have a kind of a flow that really is working together and not against each other. And what I also discovered is that if you're not balanced in this way, you will not be able to get the entire picture of duality either, because you're not beyond duality, you are trapped in the duality, and that creates an unstable nature. And a lot of my theories and my epiphanies like this are actually based on Jungian philosophy. Everything about the anima, the animus, the ego, and the personas, and all of that, and the higher self, But the thing is about the ego. Without the ego, healthy ego, you will not be able to grow either. Because I've been into the New Age path. For years I was into the New Age stuff, and it was all about rejecting your ego. And without a healthy ego, you're basically, without an ego, to put it that way, you're not even able to formulate a thought in this reality. You can't even make a simple decision, because everything you do is based upon the judgment of your analysis. You're studying your environment, and you're creating an observation from that. And in the observation, you create an opinion of what you're observing, and that has to happen through the ego, the I, the self. And if you don't have a self, you're basically just a bystander. You're nothing more than the surrounding. You will never have an opinion. You won't even be able to choose if you're going to go up from bed or go take a leak, or nothing, if we're on an ego. So the ego is basically, I don't buy into this no ego stuff from the New Age movement and The no ego thing is like having the biggest ego of them all. There's even memes about that, because denial of the ego is pure ego nonsense. Pure ego nonsense. You have an ego, you need to have your ego, you need to have it healthy and strong and under control. And in that sense, you need to have, the irony is that you need to have such a strong ego that you're able to distance yourself from your ego completely. And that's when you're able to have close to what some call an ego death, that you're able to distance yourself from your ego. But in order to understand how to do it, and in order to do the distancing from the ego, you need to have worked on your ego to such an extent that you can actually distance yourself from it and become stoic. So you need to have a stoic approach on life, not get offended, not let everything trigger you, not be constantly bragging, showing off, getting, over emotional about everything. And being emotional is good. Feeling a lot of emotions is good, of course. That's being in touch with your anima. As a male, you need to focus on getting in touch with your anima, your female aspect, your female soul. Which only means, I'm not talking about, starting to wearing makeup or dresses, or calling yourself something else than a male. I'm talking about the energy principles of spirituality. I'm talking only about that. But as a male, you need to start feeling the connection with everything around you, the spiritual, awakening the spiritual connection, and feeling emotions, not being afraid of empathy, showing empathy to people, showing kindness and concern, and even cry, being able to cry and feel vulnerable and show your emotions, not just the anger, but because most males just show, anger by default. We've been conditioned to show anger, but not sadness, not joy, not concern, not caring, not, giving somebody a hug, for example. We've been conditioned to be callous and not show our emotions. And this is not the same as being, you can still be stoic and still be a very caring person and empathic and supportive. It's not the same as being devoid of empathy. A lot of people confuse these two. But as a man, it's important to have that side of you integrated too. And like I said about the ego is very important, that you control it, that you grow it to a healthy level, so you can have, a functioning life, because without a functioning ego, you won't have a functioning life either. And then you need to distance yourself, detach yourself from the ego and observe it. Yes, it sounds weird, but you need to observe your ego, detach from it, so you won't get into conflict, get offended by everything, start fights, start trash talking people on the internet, all of that. I lost count how many times in my life in the past I got into fights and conflicts because my ego got triggered. Today I don't get triggered. I had days where everybody in my surroundings are fighting and angry. I'm going to school with my daughter, taking the tram or the bus or something. I don't have a car, so I have to go by public traffic, the public, I don't know, the local traffic, I think it's called. A lot of the bus drivers and tram drivers or something, sometimes they have a bad day. Everybody in the city has a bad day, or this fighting, screaming at people. I am always cool and calm. I don't reply with anger. I just walk by. It doesn't affect me. I don't let my ego trigger it. I observe my ego. My ego doesn't like it, but my higher self doesn't let it affect me. So I'm basically observing my ego and just letting it wash off. Then I don't have a bad day where I'm drawn into a negative conflict by these angry people who are lashing out and projecting. So in that sense, if you don't have a strong ego, you will be the one that gets drawn into the conflict. So without an ego that is strong, you will be always drawn into conflict. And like I said, the denial of the ego is like the highest delusional BS ever. Also, these people that are denying their egos are like the biggest narcissists on the planet, blaming everything else, gaslighting people, forcing everybody to believe that they are perfect and they don't make mistakes. It's everybody else's fault. They are only their egos, but not their fault ever. So that's typical narcissism. So in some aspects, the no ego stuff could be called spiritual narcissism, to be honest. And you also need to integrate the shadow. It's very important to integrate the shadow. Uh, this is something that, for example, I learned through a lot of the Luciferian and left-hand path stuff, the importance of the shadow. Because the shadow is always there. You always have a dark side, you always have a shadow. And this shadow will eventually grow and grow because you're feeding it, but you're not taking responsibility for it. So it starts acting on its own, creating havoc on its own. And your shadow might even make you do bad things, like weird, negative, or even dangerous acts that you don't want to take responsibility for. You will blame it on some other force, some higher force, some negative force. You will blame it on a devil, a fictive character, or some kind of, demon. I don't know what people blame their actions for. When they said, I did that and that, it was some evil force that took over me. No, it's not an evil force that took over you. It's your shadow. You don't know it. You haven't integrated it. You haven't learned to harness and control your shadow. So your shadow needs to be integrated at all costs, because the shadow creates problems in your life and in the life of others. And most people don't have, and they have no control over the shadows. So they just sit on the internet, for example, they just write hateful troll comments and bash people. It's their shadows doing this. And then they haven't learned to control their shadow and harness it and integrate it into your body. Your shadow should be integrated because it's part of existence. It's light and dark. And you need to be in balance with both sides. When both sides are working together and are harnessed and have created a duality, you are the balance. You go beyond that duality and you transcend the duality. So, and at the same time, they both principles are inside of you. So these aspects are the same part of you. As where there is light, there is a shadow. Every light casts a shadow. This is universal principle. So you need to take responsibility for your shadows. You need to understand that your darkness is also necessary. You need to express it in a controlled manner, in a controlled environment. Like if you have anger issues, and you always suppress your anger, it will eventually lead you to a moment where you just completely unleash hell on everybody, and you might even end up in jail. So you need to unleash, and you need to put it on a leash, basically, like some kind of dog. Take it for a walk and make it do things under a controlled and environment where it doesn't hurt anybody, like punching objects, punching bags, working out intensely. Maybe if you're like into metal or something, scream to metal songs, listen to some music that makes you need to take that shadow on a walk and keep it integrated into yourself, so you're always in control of the shadow. Otherwise the shadow become autonomous, and that starts acting on itself and creates a split personality disorder in the person. So in order to become balanced, you need to integrate your shadow. It's very important that you don't deny your negativity, your negative side, your so-called darkness, that you pretend it doesn't exist. You need to integrate it and understand it, its purpose, and even value it and appreciate it and work with it together to understand yourself and the shadows of other people. Because when you integrate your own shadow, you understand the shadows of others. You begin to understand why they do the things they do, why they suffer the way they do, why they project their weakness, why they project their anger, why they project their insecurities and fears. You start to understand all of this. But you can't do that without integrating the shadow. So the shadow is crucial to your growth and transcendental journey for self-improvement. You need to implement the shadow. And the light, of course. Well, yeah, the light is obvious. Having an empathic worldview, striving to improve the conditions for yourself and everybody else, being supportive and hoping, wishing for awareness and creating a more transcendental humanity. That part, if it comes naturally, that's good for you. But sometimes you need to work on that too. It's all need to work together to create balance. And it all ties into the divine masculine, divine feminine, because both aspects are all tied to all of these things. And you need to integrate all of these aspects into your entire being to become awakened and more transcendental and keep just growing and growing and growing as a person. And that's what I've been doing. I've been completely unbalanced my entire life previous to this. But I've in the past years balanced myself. I integrated my shadow. I reawakened and awakened my anima and fully embraced my duality. And at the same time, I went beyond it. And well, as you can see on some of my videos, if you've seen, I've been doing things that can be considered abilities, like playing around with fire, making it pulsate, and with my mind and energy alone, with my vibration, making it respond. And, you can do so much things when you become balanced. You will untap your full potential, but your potential is still not, like fully evolved, to put it that way. You're just untapping. You're starting to untap, like from a dripping. If you compare it to a pipe, you start like it starts dripping out from that pipe, the full potential. But it takes a long time before the entire source is out from that pipe. Basically, that's a weird metaphor, but that's how it works. You have untapped the seal, broken the seal, to put it that way. And then the process takes like maybe your entire life or even another lifetime until you become the truest, most highest form of yourself. It's a long journey, and it's for me too. I'm far from finished with my journey. So you can reach that point and untap all of these abilities, but you need to be balanced, and you need to integrate all of these aspects and make them work together as a whole. And that ties in with that. To me, it's not even related to religion in that sense that it has to do with Christianity, but it ties in with of all of these aspects I mentioned: the anima, the animus, the ego, the higher, the connection to spirit, the primal. The primal is what's below, the earth, Gaia. And like I mentioned, all of these aspects are connected to the elements too. Fire is connected to the male aspect, water to the feminine aspect. So all of these aspects are the purpose. There are so many old texts like Gnostic teachings and former older versions of Christian texts that have been like censored and stuff, but where Christ talks about the importance of balance, and where the entire subject or topic of as above and as below come from. The entire term, as above, as below, it actually means balance. That everything has to be balanced, and everything has to be reflected from the microcosm to the macrocosm, and it's all connected to the balance of all aspects. That's what the meaning of as above and as below is. By walking the path of balance, understanding all of these aspects. And when you do this, you will be like Christ. You will have untapped your potential to become the highest self. And the entire universe will start realigning itself with you. You will see synchronicity everywhere. You will see how everything is synchronicity. Every number, everything starts opening up for you. You will start seeing all of these numbers or all of these synchronicity digits everywhere with master numbers. I'm seeing it 24/7. I'm going to show you here. I see it no matter what I do, everything is stuck at 33, the master number 33. In whatever, no matter what I do, I see it glitched up at 33, So that means you're on the path of divine consciousness and spreading awareness and raising everybody's vibration, basically, and playing your part in a higher part of the evolution of mankind, So that means you're helping people and yourself to become better people. And besides all of that, it's all, like I said, it's connected to the eternal desire to improve and become better person, and transcend and transcendentalness, become aware of all of these aspects and the balance and the duality, and going beyond it. While you're there, you're also able to see the purpose of everything and why everything is needed, and there is nothing really bad about it in that sense that it doesn't exist, that it shouldn't exist in this reality. it all serves a purpose. You will be able to understand the pain of everybody, even people who are considered bad people, and you're able to see through the eyes of those that normally don't, others don't see, and you have become the balance. And then you are untapping a potential that goes beyond duality. And going beyond duality is going beyond into Godhood, basically. It's a long journey, and it's all connected. And this is how I see it, And you don't have to agree with me, of course. These are my views, my opinions. I'm just sharing my own perspective on my journey, how I've grown and how I've seen how it's all connected, I don't know, I've forgotten to say something, but, what I forgot to say is that it's all connected to the Kundalini energy. And once you become balanced and awaken all of these aspects and make them work together in balance and going beyond duality in that sense, your Kundalini will be awakened to its fullest. And your life force energy will start to grow, and your abilities awaken, and your potential will just keep growing. And that's the importance of being balanced. It makes your Kundalini much stronger. And if you're aiming to get a Kundalini, in that sense, awakening, this is one way to, according to me, to obtain it. And it's a spiritual and both mental journey too to make, So just a short note on the meaning of Lucifer. A lot of people believe the fallacy that it's Satan and the devil and the evil demiurge corrupting humanity and all of that. Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifer is a light bringer, a light being. It means knowledge, higher knowledge, the thirst for knowledge, and the divine knowledge, basically, and transcendence. And Lucifer has more in common with Christ, believe it or not, than the devil. Both represent the morning star, and both represent divinity and the light. So they are not one and the same. The devil and Lucifer are not one and the same. The closest thing to the devil we get in the Old Testament and old religions, Abrahamic religions from the past, is the old vengeful God, in the Bible. That's the true devil. And both Lucifer and Christ are adversaries to this devil, to this God, in a sense. So there's a huge misconception about what Lucifer represents and what Lucifer means, the consciousness and the knowledge, Luciferian flame. It's not about being evil, worshipping the devil, nothing like that. I know because I studied Luciferianism and Satanism for many years and been part of that movement and Left Hand Path and all of that, I dug into the dark side, and it's actually where I found the biggest light, to be honest. And there's even recordings about Lucifer. There's a 33-degree Mason somewhere, it's a recording by some angry Christian that was, blaming the Masons for being Satanists and all of that. And he told him, you're Luciferians. And he said, Lucifer is Christ. Christ is Lucifer. Lucifer is the light. Lucifer is the most beautiful being in the universe. He says something like that. And Lucifer and Christ are the... And he's like, what are you saying? Lucifer is Christ? What the... He's like, he can't even believe what he's hearing, It's so... his brain is like... can't understand what he's processing, But I understand it. I understood it, but they're one and the same in a way. There are two aspects of the same coin, and that is why you need a Luciferian search for knowledge to reach the balance, so-called Christ consciousness, the comparison, in that sense. Yeah, I think the misconception about Lucifer being the devil and Satan and all of that is also deliberate by the main religions, Abrahamic religions, to make people follow into the worship of the demiurge, the actual devil of the Bible, the one that makes people become blind followers and give away their own divine power. And that I believe it's intentional to make people become sorry followers and do not awaken their own transcendental flame and become balanced, search for the becoming balanced and becoming, in that sense, becoming Christ consciousness, becoming the balance, instead of becoming obedient to a vengeful, angry, controlling entity that they give away their power and their will to, and then blaming it on the good guy, that the one that wants your best, makes you transcend and become the most highest form of yourself possible, and fulfilled human. Yeah, they blame it all on him instead. So that's how it's all completely messed up in religion about the purpose of Lucifer and what Lucifer represents, and they are basically one and the same, and as almost identical to, like I said, Christ, in that sense, what Christ represents. And another thing I was thinking about is how I'm hearing a lot of these near-death experiences with these very devoted Christians that for some reason end up in hell. I don't think it's a coincidence, to be honest. Well, they devoted their life to imbalance, to serving some old god from the Mesopotamian world that they demand sacrifice and total subjugation in order to become get a place in heaven, and they become completely imbalanced. They don't follow the principles of enlightenment and balance, and they end up in hell. I consider this place to be kind of hell too, the earth, this dimension, whatever you want to call it. But if there is something worse beyond that, some kind of punishment reality, well, you're going to get there if you're imbalanced. If you spread imbalance, because when you're in balance, you create a world that's imbalanced. An imbalanced world is what we have. It's not balanced. And that's why I wanted to emphasize on this video about the balance, the importance of balance. And this was Beyond Aliens and Occult. Thanks for listening.